I honestly wasn't expecting to be playing this so soon, as in between the last two videos I added a bunch of Nintendo stuff to my list of games, and this is one of the oldest ones on there, but hey, I'm not complaining. Donkey Kong Country is a side-scrolling 2D platformer developed by Rare and published by Nintendo in 1994. It was the first DK game in 11 years, the last being the third arcade entry, and ended up defining everything we've come to know about the DK franchise since, excluding Bonanza. Establishing the now iconic cast of characters, enemies, and just the vibe of his world and music, all while pushing boundaries for what a SNES game can look and sound like. The gameplay involves running and jumping through tightly designed levels, bouncing on enemies, collecting bananas, the usual stuff you'd expect from a Nintendo platformer. The movement all feels super responsive, with the exception of a few weird gimmicks, and it's super fun to either zoom through levels or take your time. Things did start to become a bit more frustrating as the challenge ramped up, because I just don't think this game has enough screen space for most of the reactionary gameplay. Some enemies will come onto screen so fast that unless you already knew they were going to be there, you'll take a hit and or death. There's plenty of other examples where I couldn't see far enough in front of me to properly react, especially in a couple of the water levels. It's genuinely my only major gripe. Like, I don't mind memorizing stuff if there's also the ability to react to it in the moment, especially in this genre, but it almost never felt like that here. I'll admit I used the rewind feature on the Switch whenever I had been wrongly hit or killed because of this, but if I ever replay it, I don't plan on using it. Frankly, it was my fault for thinking I could beat this game in one stream without using rewind, which just made every death feel worse until I caved. The other two things this game really excels at are its art style and its music. I'm sure you've heard a good chunk of the soundtrack just by being on the internet, and for good reason. It's my favorite part of the game, and surprisingly varied for a game of this size. I couldn't possibly describe everything about it that I love here, so instead I'll link a video by one of my favorite creators. And man, the art style is crazy impressive for the time. They used 3D models as the base for nearly everything, then redrew them as accurately as possible with pixel art. And while I do think looking at it on a high quality monitor without any sort of filter does make the effect work a lot less, I still think the game looks great. The color choices, the character designs, the backgrounds, it's exceptional stuff. I'm not sure if the story for this game was in the manual, but in-game there's very little dialogue outside of the occasional character interaction, which is usually just repeated dialogue anyways. You can find out Donkey Kong's banana hoard has been stolen in the first level, but that's literally it. You're just shot straight into the action, and I love that. I'm sure I'll be saying the same thing for most older titles, since they tended to tell you more outside the game, but whatever. I still appreciate it here. Every aspect of this game is just oozing with personality as well. The goofy sounds enemies make when they die, the end credits sequence of enemies followed by DK and Diddy beating each other up. DK vigorously celebrating after defeating each boss. It's such a charming and delightful experience that I wish I could have enjoyed playing through it more, although it really is just the reactionary stuff that bothered me. It still lands in the lower half of A tier. I was genuinely amazed at how well this game holds up 30 years later, and I can see myself coming back to experience it again and again. I've heard even more good things about the sequel, so I'm keen to play it, eventually. I won't leave links in the description like normal, since you'll either need the Switch Online subscription, or another means to play it, but definitely give it a shot if you haven't already. Alright, bye for now. As in between the last two videos, I added a bunch of Nintendo stuff to my list of games.